Let's have a candid conversation. It's all about me and you. Let's have a candid conversation. No topic is taboo.
Let's have a candid conversation. Talk about the issues that you're facing and the dreams that you're chasing. DR.RICH got the tools to help you make it. We can talk about it. Let's have a candid
It's all
conversation.
about me. Let's have a candid conversation. It's all about me and you. Let's have a candid conversation. No topic is taboo.
Now, Pastor Ari, you got condition on your love for me? Or you gonna just let me do what I want to do?
Yeah, I'm what dude call a man.
Let's have a candid conversation. No topic is taboo. When I talk to you,
DR.RICH, y'all.
oh, it's all about me and you.
Me and you.
Let's have a candid conversation. No topic is taboo.
DR.RICH, y'all.
Hey, it's the real DR.RICH. Hey, and I am back. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. She's back. It's the real DR.RICH here with Candid Conversations. And definitely have Pastor R in the house. Pastor R, you gonna mess, are you gonna mess the Candid Conversations up today? You're the one who convinced me to come back on because you know I was definitely not planning on jumping on to do a candid conversation, but because you asked me, I'm definitely here to accommodate what you're asking. So, so anyway, today is the 24th October. We're for the home stretch. We're headed towards the home stretch, Pastor R. And I know many of you have been inquiring and wondering minds want to know. And I think before, before Dula and Reality Records, is that right?
Right.
Yeah. I think before he did my music, my theme music, yes, listen, you have to invest in yourself. I mean, not just in websites and all of that's good. The consistency and, doing lives and posting, all of that's great. But you also have to invest in the knowledge of your craft. And I have been investing in some other things to bring to my my C. Denise Ministries mentoring program, as well as my the other one, my other coursework, my Confident Woman coaching classes. So listen, I'll have some information now because we're definitely going to kick off 2023 with a rich bang. We're going to definitely do that. Have some new material. Website is being refurbished, renovated. So I plan to bring you some insightful tips, some insightful resources, and things that have not been quote unquote copy and paste from other people. See, I'm an originator. I don't believe in copying off of other people. Although I've seen in the years and months and weeks that people say, well, we all get inspiration from other people. Inspiration is one thing, but copying someone else's concept is totally different. And DR.RICH doesn't believe in that personally for herself, because you could do it yourself. You can just get in and do a quick Google search and, copy and paste information yourself. But DR.RICH definitely believes in putting her money where her mouth is, meaning I invest in training for myself, and not only for myself, but for everything that I'm doing. I believe in investing in myself. and I had a few hiccups with my website, but just as with the theme music, I'm getting her done, getting Rich done, and hopefully, listen, Pastor R. I know we have a different topic today. I want to bring something really. I'm spinning off of your topic and what you shared earlier today, and that has to do with soul ties. Definitely going to be speaking about that. But before we get into that, I wanted to share about some of the women who have actually reached out to me from some of my previous sessions. They're like, when are you going to bring, um, you know, my two programs back. I usually have two events per year. I usually do that. And because I've been so focused on some healing and some coursework, I have not really done that. I'm going to have to find a way to do that. But I really have had women to reach out to me. I'm not going to call their names, but hopefully they'll see this and they'll begin to again become excited about mountain movers and purpose shakers.
Right.
I've had those individuals ask me, I move mountains, and a lot of times I do so only with the help of Yah. You know, mountains are those massive um, or monumental obstacles that seemingly are impossible to move.
Yeah.
There are life hacks. What are you saying?
No, I said it was most definitely blessed. And one thing about mountain movers and purpose shakers, I felt was so awesome because you kind of help a lot of young ministers and a lot of speakers and entrepreneurs who were beginners to have their first speaking engagement. You you gave them that experience, and now several of them are doing very well in ministry. So
I did.
mountain movers.
Let me show you.
Blessing.
Let me just show you. So I don't want to call out their names, but here are just a few of the women who have reached out to me lately. And this individual told me, she said, it was because of you, DR.RICH.
Right.
She said, it's because, and she's telling me this, and she said it openly as well, but she actually DM'd me and she said, you were pivotal in the trajectory of my life. Right. And my purpose calling. And so you know what? She owes me nothing, but it makes DR.RICH feel good that people aren't just, haphazardly taking what God's strategic moves in their lives and just like being so flippant about it, you know,
Right.
because if it was a well-known name, we'd be screaming to the top of our lungs. But it blesses me to see that these women actually realize that the Father, Yahweh, placed
Right.
me in their lives for a specific reason. And that reason, let me tell you something, Pastor R, and we're going to get into it, I promise you. This is Candid Conversations with the real Dr. Rich. Let me tell you something, Pastor R. You know, it's challenging when women see you and they see the anointing on your life,
Right.
and why her, not me? And it's easy to become, you know, bitter or frustrated or anything else. But one thing about it, you know, when we see someone who is doing something similar to what we've been called to do, and we're not committed to it, all we're doing is copying and pasting and competing.
Right.
You know, there's no growth in that. There's no building from that. And for this young woman to say to me that she recognized what God was doing in her life through me, it was a blessing because it encourages me to continue. And as you stated, there have been many women who have, you know, had their first speaking engagement through some things that I have done.
Mountain movers or purpose shakers. Yeah.
Right, right.
Mhm.
And so I'm happy to see what they're doing, you know, but at the same time, I do want to say that it takes time to hear the voice of God and to allow Him to complete the work, to
Right.
continue the work in you. And it's wise not to jump the gun, you know, to jump out prematurely. And what I mean by that is when you haven't allowed the Father to, in my sister's words, process you. Dr.
Right.
Dominique says that, so I'll give her a shout out.
Process you.
Process you.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of people use the word process, but she is the one who has been most pivotal in my life in using that process term.
Never
Just
heard
like
that
with
before.
me. Yeah. You know, you took me to her book signing when she talks about the process.
Okay.
You know, we have some of her books that I give out, and so I wanted to say this before purpose became a big thing in this tri-state area. I was one of the first ones to talk about purpose. I'm serious. Not that anyone else didn't hear the voice of the Father through Holy Spirit say something about purpose, but I was at the forefront. You know, before anybody was wanting to talk about purpose, Dr. Rich was already. I see a lot of things that are going on now that I was doing 8-9 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a blessing to see it happening. Even with Candid Conversations, I'm seeing a lot of people come out with other first words and then conversations, you know, coffee conversations or whatever, you know, before anybody was talking about that, Dr. Rich had already been inspired by Holy Spirit to
It's
do
good if
Candid
people cite their
Conversations.
sources, but they don't.
Yeah,
Right.
and it's not a big, but let me show you one of the other women. And I have so many, I'm gonna get into the topic, so I can't really pull up all of them, but this young woman as well, she's like, Rich, we need to get together. We need to
Right.
collaborate, and we need to. And so I'm thankful for that.
It's time.
Any
It's time
opportunity.
It's time for mountain movers.
Yeah, and please know, I
And
can
purpose
show you
shakers.
some notes. I can show you some notes. I have
We
been
used
working
to
on
say
it.
we used to say shaking papers and taking names. We used to say that.
Moving mountains and taking names.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're gonna
Okay.
move these mountains. We're gonna take names later. So
Okay.
whatever the mountain is, it may be domestic violence. We're gonna move that mountain of domestic violence, and we're gonna take the name later. We're gonna move the mountain of narcissistic abuse, and we're gonna take the name first. We're gonna move it. We're
Right.
gonna move it,
I remember.
and we're gonna take the names too. I mean, so I'm really working on it. I got something planned. I'm gonna be rolling out. I've already spoken with my graphic designer. And she was like, okay, Dr. Rich, I'm so happy to hear from you. So I'm going to be getting with her, going to be paying her to do my graphic designs and pushing this out. And you all will have time enough. I'm only going to accept 25 women, only 25, because this one is more intimate. It's a mastermind. And I really want to be impactful and download to each of you what Holy Spirit has downloaded to me.
Right.
And please trust and believe. It's not something that you can Google. I have been intentional about not sharing as much of the content as I have previously done.
Right. Not a
Don't
good
want to
thing.
do that. Don't want to do that anymore. So unless I'm being paid to do it. But Pastor R, let's get into this. Let's dive into this candid conversation topic of soul ties. Yeah, soul ties. Listen, I want to say this at the onset. All soul ties, and we've had this discussion, Pastor R, all soul ties are not bad soul ties.
No.
They're not. And so please don't assume that Dr. Rich is coming from a negative vantage point, although I can do that because this is my show, Candid Conversations. But I want to say this. Some soul ties, healthy soul ties, are good soul ties. You know, and soul ties can be in any form of relationship. It could be parent with children.
Right.
It could be sibling. It could be friends. It could be intimate partners.
Right.
But any of those soul ties can either be healthy or unhealthy. Well, what are you saying, Dr. Rich? What I'm saying is healthy soul ties more than likely are productive and good soul ties.
Right.
However, the unhealthy soul ties more than likely, and this is not a qualitative nor quantitative study or research, I'm just using the term loosely, but unhealthy soul ties more than likely produce negative outcomes.
Right.
More than likely, they're going to produce something negative, something that is going to cost you not only money and time, but also a lot of emotional damage, collateral damage, and baggage.
Right, and to throw everything off in the spirit too, because it's a spiritual connection. Some people don't realize that soul ties kind of embody that person. You become, one with that person in the spirit. And if it's not positive, it's going to produce a negative result. And that negative result is not what God really wants for our lives. The Bible don't really specifically speak about soul ties, but it gives us examples and metaphors on how things could
Well,
be
David
bad,
and Jonathan's
be
souls were knit together. It says that.
okay. Maybe knit together could be the same as soul ties.
That's the way it's many of the scholars. And I'm not a scholar, but I am studied, and I am an ordained minister as well as a pastor and prophet.
Right.
I have the office of a prophet.
Right. And so you can tell when you are in a relationship and it's the wrong type of spiritual connection because things are not really working, and the people of the kingdom, or just people in general who desire more in their lives, some people just are not growing and not realizing that this soul tie with a mother or a father or a sister or a cousin or auntie or this guy I kicked it with in high school, because he may, not like to do the things that I do. Now he's smoking weed. We got reconnected. Now I'm back smoking weed. Now I'm into pornography. I'm going to the strip club. Now I'm chasing
some
women.
People say
I'm married.
That's not bad. Some people say that's not bad.
Well,
that's not a bad thing.
Well, if it's not producing a healthy result or bringing you to a positive end, it is bad, because things shouldn't bring more stress and anxiety on you.
Life is stress.
Yeah, sometimes life brings pain, but also the Father and the Son brings healing and deliverance. And I know we're not talking about spiritual things, but when we're talking about bringing a balance, if a person want money, you cannot connect to somebody who that you have a soul tie with, that believes in poverty, only believe in going so far, because you just cannot be great alone, and you need other people who have the same spirit as yours to be knitted together with that person. Because soul ties are bad, and some soul ties are absolutely wonderful. The right connections is something that change lives and create wealth, or create a healthy mind and a healthy personality, because a lot of people don't realize that person that they are being entangled with have some insidious ways. It's just insidious ways.
Wow.
And you look at your life. I'm gonna tell you, For those who are watching and who are listening, check your bank account and look at your circle. If your bank account is not where you want it to be, and if you're not doing some things that you want to do, you need to check yourself. I do too. Need to check yourself and see who our souls are knitted with. I'm telling you, people have soul ties with their mama, with their dad, and they know the relationship is unhealthy. They have soul ties with.
Wait a minute, hold up. So what are you saying that we should not? Because like I said at the beginning of Candid Conversations,
it has to be healthy.
Oh, okay.
It has to be healthy.
I was getting ready to say
because people want to grow. People want to know, grow, and show.
No, you want people to know, grow, and show.
People when people see me, I want people to know, grow, and show. People know I'm constant learning because I don't sound like everybody else. And I know, and then they can tell I'm growing because I'm not who I used to be 10 years ago. But every day I work on something different about Cedric that keeps me from, being who I know I need to be. Because if I continue to kick it with folks that go to the casino and gamble, and I gamble with them, and my soul is knitted with that person, because every time somebody tells me something, that I need to know about that person, I come to that person's defense because our souls are knitted. We have a soul tie, not sexual now. Everything don't have to be sexual. It can be a gambling habit, and we both can like what we do. We can like to smoke weed or smoke primo. Our souls are knitted.
We go to the hookah bar.
Yeah, we can be knitted together in that area.
Right.
And
a lot of couples do that. A lot of couples
that's a soul tie, but it's not productive in the area.
Says who? For you and your covenant.
It's not, because you're not. It takes away your health. It takes away your longevity. It takes away your.
How many medicines are you on currently?
I'm not on any medicines, but it takes away.
You
ain't on any medicine. We went out on medicines. It takes away from your tenacity.
Well, what about the soul tie you had? See, that makes me think you were dating a young lady prior to meeting me and marrying me.
Soul ties not
and
always
she asked
bad.
You to do crack with her.
Yeah, and see, and I had a soul tie with the soul tie that I wasn't really knowledgeable of, but I had a soul tie. And it was a spiritual connection. And see, a lot of people say, well, it is spiritual. All things are spiritual.
Right,
so when you have a soul tie with your big brother and he's not right, you need to check yourself. Stop defending folks when they're wrong. I mean, this dude is having a relationship with this married woman. Now you all rolling around, drinking beer, hanging out, smoking your cigars, and this your boy. Y'all have a soul tie.
Wow.
And he's messing with a married woman, and that's wrong. You shouldn't be with that.
Well, that's what the world is gonna do. But I will say this, Pastor.
Soul ties are not all bad,
Well, in your defense, I will say this: if you're a kingdom citizen, or if you say you're a Christian, which I get it. Really, we are not supposed to be, condoning behaviors like that. And you understand?
But we do, though.
Yeah, we do. But what you were saying, you didn't say whether they were believers or not. You just said your homeboy. But if they're both in the world, that's just what they're
right now. I'm not talking to that. Right, I'm not just necessarily, specifically talking about kingdom people. Right. I'm talking about straight across the board. Those who know God, don't know God, claim God, don't claim God. Whoever it is, but the world deserves a opportunity to know and to be educated about what soul ties are. And then I'm gonna tell you this is a soul tie. You have a group of men who like men, a whole group of them, and they hang out all the time. They kick it. They go out to eat together. They roll together. All these men, and just said women too. They like all women. They like women. Their souls are knitted together. That's why it's so hard for them to break away and to find out who they was created to be. It's difficult for them to get, and it becomes a more psychological issues that they're battling along with the soul tie. Psychological.
Well, this is what I wanted to say. I do believe that a great number of people are experiencing soul ties with family members.
Yeah.
And please don't take this the wrong. I'm not talking about intimately. That's not what I'm. All soul ties are not intimate. All soul ties. All soul ties are spiritual though.
Oh, they're
They're
spiritual.
spiritual, but
All soul ties are spiritual.
all soul ties are spiritual, but not all of them are
It's a spiritual
intimate.
connection.
Right. You can have a soul tie with someone and not have been intimate with them. And sometimes that will cause a problem in covenants.
Mhm.
You know, that can cause a problem, especially when we make excuses for the family members whom we have this covenant or soul tie with.
Right.
You know, when they're behaving a certain way, when they're acting out a certain way, and we condone it either with our silence or with our words. We're like, they've always been this way.
I know people like that.
Yeah,
I have made that excuse for my mom in the past.
Well, we don't have to call. We don't have to say.
Well, I'm talking about. I want to give you just a little bit of a testimony as well, because even though in that I had to become delivered, because once I became delivered, I wasn't able to hinder her anymore. I was more.
God.
I was really wanting
hindrance.
now to protect my mother from the things that was destroying her. You see what I'm saying? But at first, with that soul tie of not being accountable, unaccountability, you know, that was hurting her. But when I started becoming more accountable to the things that was connecting me in the spirit, I was able to then share the love that I didn't know about.
Wow.
Then I was able to share what God called the agape love with my mom. Yeah.
Wow. And so and this is the thing that I wanted to say. You know,
Probably.
Because it's
Oh,
30
there you. All right, Doctor. All right. Sorry about y'all. Sorry about that, y'all. We back.
Okay, but what I'm saying too is, you know, when it comes down to soul ties, especially the unhealthy soul ties, you know, I've discerned, Pastor, and I haven't shared it a lot with you, but I've discerned when people are on edge, they're waiting for particular people to say one thing or to do one thing so they can pop off on.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I have not
That
shared
don't
that
have
with
They
you.
don't have anything to do with the soul tie. That's something else. That's something else.
Sometimes it does have something to do with a soul tie.
You think so?
Sometimes it does.
They can have a soul tie with you. They just can't wait to pop off on you because they have a soul tie with you. But what kind of soul tie is that?
But not just that kind, but I'm talking about even with the person that they're in relationship. We could be friendships and their friend doesn't like. That's what I'm speaking of. You know, they or you know,
And you're supposed to take it.
they've allowed themselves to give their ear to people who are incredulous and non-credible and you know, just have other agendas.
That's being obsessed.
So like I said, there's a difference. And let me get into this one though, to the sexual soul ties.
Okay.
So, some of us do have intimate soul ties with people, and you make a joke out of it. I don't want to bring this movie up because I don't really feel like playing with you.
Oh, you got to bring it up.
I do want to bring it up for a point, but I'm teasing. But I know how you are about this movie, but I know I'm also about to wrap up. But in the movie Fences, Denzel's character, Troy, he stepped out on his wife and had a relationship, which I could see was a soul tie because his wife asked him.
He was obsessed.
If he was going to, you know, stop seeing this woman, this young lady. And Denzel just flat out told her, go on and say your part the way you want to say it. Go ahead, because I can see you smiling.
Well, no, I'm not smiling. He just said he don't think he's going to be able to let that go. But
what is that? See, that
let the lady go. Let her go. He's on think he'll be able to let that go.
Because what kind of women grow him up out the ground? What is it? Go say it, because you like to
that's
say
something him and his
friend,
was talking about. They said they like them Louisiana women. They grew them straight up out the ground. But the thing is this.
No, the reason I brought that up, Pastor R, was because I wanted to say this. That's a soul tie.
It is.
And he not only that's what I'm saying. His children were adults. He ended up not wanting to release this woman. He wanted to continue to see this woman, plus have his wife. And the reason I said it was a soul tie because when she passed, if you haven't seen the movie, it's spoiler alert because the movie is old now. But Denzel was going through some type of physical trauma. Yeah. I saw it. It was not just mental, but it was physical as well.
They had a real soul tie.
They had a real soul tie. And so
he loved that woman.
See,
the love he knew.
See, there
the love he knew.
See, there you have it.
And see, people get off into this into certain stuff, man. And I'm telling you, and then they get caught up. Then they can be married to a woman, and had a woman on the side, and when the woman on the side cut it off, the married man want to go at the single woman like he can't let her go, like she gonna be with him. She can't see nobody else.
And see that's what the
outcome,
right? Because let me tell you, the outcomes and the end result are negative. He produced a child. They love. It is dangerous. And see, when you get to threatening people, and it happens with men too, they'll like you brought up in the beginning how you gave it as an example, but he doesn't want to stop seeing the married woman, his friend, he and his friend, they laugh and it's cool. And this woman is married, but we don't know the fallout behind that. All the repercussions and consequences behind that. Soul ties are very dangerous. And then, like you said in times past, in some of your preaching sermons, how these soul ties can even have you acting out a certain way. You're not even the person that you're one way with one group of people, then you're another way with another group of people.
Right. I seen it on one of your shows, one of those criminal shows. Mm-hmm. One of those criminal shows where the female, who was married to her husband, they had a soul tie, but some went on. She wanted to leave him. She stabbed the man in the face. She found out. Well, They wasn't married yet, but she found out he had went out with another chick. Well, were they married? I mean, they were married. And then he told his wife he was going out of town on a trip, but he did not go out of town on the trip. He stayed in the city, but somebody saw him in the city with this other lady, and she went to where he was. She found out or saw it, and when he got home, she killed him. She stabbed him in the face. And see, he had a soul tie with the woman on the outside, and he also had a soul tie with his wife.
Dangerous. See, soul ties are dangerous,
Mhm.
especially when they become intimate. I mean, people don't understand that blind rage or that blind love. You know, when you're all aggressive and when you want to hurt somebody. That's not healthy.
Yeah, have a soul tie with building one another up. Be friends. You don't always have to get in the bed with a person or go to the next step. Sometimes you can just be a friend and you can have a healthy soul tie with a person that's producing business, that's helping you get your master's degree or trying to give you knowledge on grants or grant writing or whatever it is that you're trying to do. Have a healthy soul tie with a family member who's promoting you to move forward in life, being the best person you can be every day by being a productive part of this society and raising and a productive part of this society, but also raising children to be God-fearing, but also productive citizens as well. You got to be around people and have soul ties. You can have a healthy soul tie with a person because you know this person is going in the same direction as you.
Okay, so I want to ask you before I wrap it up. Thank you all again for joining me on Candid Conversations with the real Dr. Rich. Pastor R, what about the soul ties between couples who were not married but had children, and one or the other of them just can't seem to just move on in life? They're stuck.
That's an unhealthy soul tie.
So is it a soul tie?
It is a soul tie. If a person can't let go and they have a kid with one another, and what really mended them together,
let me ask you
it's called obsession. I said it earlier.
You did say that. You used to preach about it more often than you preach
It's not
about
love.
now. But let me say this.
It is a soul tie, though.
One of the people has gone on and been married, and then you still have that other person just hoping there. I mean, just can't move on in life. They're stuck. They're stagnant. They're drug addicted,
A lot of people like
alcoholic,
that.
or they just can't move on in their lives.
They still have a soul tie. Yeah, their souls are.
Well, how did you get rid of? Did you have soul ties when we met? When we met?
No, I ain't had no soul
You
tie.
didn't?
Mm-mm.
Really?
When I met you, I wasn't dealing with nobody.
No, but
women.
that don't mean the soul tie just disappeared because you broke up with the individual.
Not that I know of. But probably.
Yeah, we did.
If I did have some soul ties,
we went through a release.
that person, I ain't had nothing.
But we went through a process of
Those people probably did have a soul tie.
I'm talking about us.
But my soul tie was my soul was released.
Oh, okay. But I remember us going through.
We probably did. We probably did with somebody else. But me and you, we were cool. We were straight. Straight, no chasing. But y'all, those of you who are listening, be very, very careful. Trust God. I'm not preaching to you because Candid Conversations, we just, Dr. Rich talk about things that's concerning everyday life. It's not just a ministry talk here, but we're wide open and we're going to talk about some real life stuff here on the Candid Conversation show. It's not a preaching segment here, because if you come in here looking for a word, you may be in the wrong place in the wrong place.
But we do have a show for that, though. But this
is not about the Bible.
Right. This is Candid Conversations where no topic is taboo. Right. You have to listen to the song, to the Candid Conversations theme music.
Right. So, and some people want to box us in and just say, well, we preachers, we can do whatever we're being led to do. And if it don't fit you, just move on. But if we hit you, we didn't mean to miss you. Yeah. Right. And if it don't force it, right. If we hit you, we don't mean to miss you.
Well, that's my time. Thanks, Pastor R, for joining me for Candid Conversations with the real Dr. Rich. Tune in. We'll be back. I have to schedule out, but look, continue to follow and watch.
Let's have a candid conversation.
It's all about me. Something to you in the next 7 to 10 business days.
Let's have a candid conversation. No topic is taboo.
That's the most
Let's have a candid conversation. Talk about the issues that you're facing and the dreams that you're chasing.
Also,
Dr.
my
Rich got
other
the tools to help you
motivation
make it. We can talk about it. Let's have a candid conversation.
Let's have a candid conversation. It's all about me and you.
They may not say it.
That's the first.
Candid conversation. No topic is taboo.
Now, Pastor Ari, you got condition on your love for me? Or you gonna just let me do what I want to do?
Yeah, I'm what do we call a main.
Let's have a candid conversation. No topic is taboo. Can I talk to you?
It's Dr. Rich, y'all.
Oh, it's all about me and you.
Me and you.
Let's have a candid conversation.
No topic is taboo.
No topic is taboo.
It's Dr. Rich, y'all.